We are live. It is Saturday night live stream. Get it off your chest. I've got some of my awesome panel guys here tonight with Gonzo, Marty Nutshots, and Mr. Finn. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up, guys?
Doing well.
Good. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody in the chat. We got Michael Foster is in the chat also. Michael Foster, if you want to jump on, I will send you a link here shortly. But anyways, I'm going to start off the Get It Off Your Chest night. And what I want to talk about is sleep. Okay? Sleep is very important. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I slept about 12 hours last night, something that I haven't done, and I can't even tell you. So I was looking at the reasons why I slept. I think exhaustion was one of them, mentally, physically, just exhausted. I think sleep a lot of times, and maybe you guys will agree with me on the panel, that sleep a lot of times for some people is an escape from reality. You sleep so you can escape things that are going on in your life. I know that when we think about thoughts are what keeps me from sleeping. Okay, I have a very, very busy mind, always. With my business, I'll be thinking about the job tomorrow. Did I get the right materials? What else do I need? You know, I'll get up in the middle of the night and write something down that I'll remember. So I have a very, very busy mind. And shutting my mind off is not easy. One of the things that keeps my mind busy is and I might not seem it sometimes, but I'm a caring person. I care about people. I care about friends. I care about family. So I think a lot of times I take on their problems, their worries. I don't know if you would call that a weakness or a strength. I know sleep is great for your testosterone. Sleep is good for a lot of things. It keeps you mentally aware. I know after I have a construction business, I know after a long day at work, I come home, I'll work out. That gives me a burst of energy. I eat, and then I'm tired. So being physical definitely helps me sleep. Now, what I want to talk about, too, is that coordinates with sleep is dreams. And a couple thoughts. Now, I have researched dreaming here, especially this afternoon, after I had a wicked dream that I'll tell you about. And this dream has been reoccurring for many, many years. Not the exact dream, but the version of this dream. Now, I did wake up. I took after today, busy day, did my running around, did my book work. I do estimates for my business, popped on the Masters golf, and then just absolutely passed out. Let me bring on Frank Pesci here. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you? Sorry I'm late.
No worries. We're talking about sleep. I slept about 12 hours last night, which is very unusual for me. And I've already segued into dreams. I took a nap this afternoon, and I woke up actually kicking and sweating after about an hour. Now, I believe that when you dream, you have to be what's in REM state, which is rapid eye movement. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but that's kind of my research that I had. So I'm going to tell you guys about my dream and a reoccurring dream that I have. Reoccurring dream that I have is that I'm driving. Now, I was in my truck this afternoon, and it's a pretty standard place that I go. It's in the little mall near me. It's not a mall. It's just a shopping center with a Walmart and a grocery store and other stores. If you can picture, it was a combination of me being underneath the blanket, like I'm on my couch, sun being in my eyes and blinding me, knowing that the stop sign and this shopping center is coming up. One thing I couldn't do is I couldn't stop. I felt my foot pushing the brake and pushing the brake and pushing the brake and pushing the brake, and I couldn't stop. I kept trying to look, and the sun was in my eyes again. I couldn't, it's really hard to explain. I couldn't visualize in my dream. I knew where I was. I knew what I was doing, but I had no control at all, none. And I remember just pushing on the brake. And that's when I woke up. And I actually felt my leg outside the blanket I had on me today, pushing through the blanket. And quickly I sat up. Now, this dream, this type of dream I've had over the years, where I'm driving out of control. There's also a version of that dream I've had. I don't know if you can picture like Looney Tunes, cartoon land, and think of like a road that goes like this, up and down, and you can see it almost like, think of like a ribbon way out and just keep going, but there's no landscape. And I'm driving over that road out of control. And a lot of times at the bottom of the dips, there's water, and I go through the water. And then I come back out. So it's basically no control when I'm driving. But today's dream was very particular. It was very strange because I actually woke up and I was sweating. I don't know if that had anything to do with last night getting 12 hours sleep, maybe just being exhausted. So I'm trying to figure out, like, when you have a dream, I know a lot of people think that God can speak to you in a dream. Can the devil speak to you in a dream also? So what's the purpose of the dream? Do they align with something that's going on in your life? Or is it just coincidence? Like maybe Gonzo had said earlier, when we were talking earlier, you're low on salt, or is it something that also dreams, I heard, you can manifest, or you're trying to manifest or conjure up something in your life. So I'll go to anybody on the panel. Go for it.
I think dreams sometimes can be our subconscious trying to work something out. You know, I'm no expert at dreams at all. I think sometimes because most all of us have lots of things going on in our lives, and maybe subconsciously we store things, emotions or issues that we don't deal with at one time or another, or even good things or things we don't understand maybe. And possibly dreams can be our brain, our consciousness, right? Working things out, possibly. I'm not a person that dreams very often. I mean, people say you always dream, so I'm not a person who really remembers their dreams very often. So I don't know, but that's what I think it could be.
Let me just tell Michael Foster, if you're watching, I just sent you the link. So if you'd like to jump on, that'd be awesome. I'm really curious of your religious philosophical thought on this. So feel free to jump on anytime. I just texted you. So go ahead. Anybody, Gonzo?
Well,
Marty, go ahead.
They say that dreams are coming when there's trouble in your head, when you're sorting things out, and it manifests from your subconscious to you. I've noticed that when I go through issues with people and I bottle it up, I always have a dream. And when things are good, I meditate and I have no issues. I'm carefree. I don't have dreams. I've noticed that pattern. I don't know if anyone else has had that.
I've just found, like, it's weird because I feel like I've experienced every strange pattern when it comes to dreams. There'll be times where I'll have none at all. And then I've had times where I've had very terrible dreams for like a week straight or more. I remember, well, and I'm also tempted to, you know, because it's hard to really say for me. Like, I have a hard time discerning whether or not dream actually means something, or if it's something else going on. If it's something, maybe there's something physiological involved, because like we were talking about before, I've had bad dreams and poor sleep when I'm low on salt. Like if anybody who's been on like the keto diet knows that you can drop your carbs really low and you'll end up losing a lot of minerals. You lose a lot of water as well. And that can disrupt things. And I found that in it of itself has given me nightmares. But another instance where I had a really bad dream was actually right after I got food poisoning and I lost a ton of minerals. I ended up in the hospital. It was really bad. And when I came back home, I was having like an episode. I was like having literally like a panic attack in my sleep. It was the first time I've ever had something like that. And I just woke up, my ears were ringing. Everything was like really loud. And I was awake, but I was like kind of half awake. And I was having this nightmare that there was something in the closet in my bedroom. And there was this black thing crawling on the ceiling, and it had a woman's face, and it was coming at me, and absolutely terrifying. So I don't know. I think sometimes they can mean things, sometimes probably not. I don't know. It's probably on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. How about Michael Foster? We're talking about dreams. I had a wicked dream. I don't know if you heard the description of my dream today, where I was, and it's something that's reoccurring. They're not all the same dream, but it's basically driving out of control. I could not stop my vehicle. It's in a place that I drive every day. And again, last night I slept about 12 hours, very, very unusual for me. I was saying earlier that I'm a caring person, and I carry a lot of weight for other people, and I don't know if that's healthy or not. I always try to be a very strong person. A lot of I don't know what the word is, but a lot of I don't like the word worry, but I tend to think about other people's problems, and it affects me,
I think that a lot of the guys have given pretty good answers. I always tell people that the dreams, about 80% of the time, it's the junk drawer of the mind. You know how there's that drawer in your house that's got like buttons and staples and like a half full jar of something ridiculous. You know what I mean? So you do a job interview and you watch a 80s show, and next thing you know, it's Screech from Saved by the Bell is interviewing you for a job in a dream or something, right? And you feeling that, Marty? You feeling that? You like that energy? But all that sort of stuff, like your mind organized. So a lot of times it's like your brain just kind of like processing random information and editing it together. So like when you look at a cloud, you might see like a dragon or whatever. Or you look at static, you might imagine an image. That's probably why when people are on DMT, they see things like fractal elves or whatever. It's just the brain organizing information in a logical way. So sometimes it's just that. That's all there is to it. Then other times, dreams seem to be more than that. That they're hard to understand. I've had dreams that are very profound, with people in them that I've never met. Sometimes I never meet them. Sometimes I meet someone that really approximates the person that was in my dream, right? I'm like, what's that all about? And I have a hard time of figuring out exactly what that is. You know, is that some sort of revelation of God's future will or something? I don't know. But to your point, I have this dream. I'll tell you about my recurring dream, Tony. So I have this dream. It's actually a nightmare, but it starts out as a dream. And in my dream, it's me, but in my 19-year-old body. I just wake up and I'm 19 years old again. And I have all my knowledge and everything. I know exactly how to reach my wife. I know exactly about Facebook, everything. And Rainman. At first, I'm like really excited by this. I'm going to go sweep my wife off her feet. We're going to get married sooner. I'm going to buy stock in the right companies. I'm not going to make all the mistakes and everything. Then it occurs to me in my dream, I've had this dream about 4 or 5 times, that if I get married early, if I conceive a baby early, it won't be Hudson. It won't be my firstborn son. It'll be a different sperm, right? I'll have a different kid. And then it starts to occur to me in my dream that if I don't repeat everything just right, I won't get the life that I have now. Right. And for all the mistakes in my life and all the regrets, and I have them. Anytime someone tells you they have no regrets in their life, you know they're an idiot. They're a fool. Anyone that says that's just a fool. You shouldn't ever trust those people. Any wise person has regrets. It doesn't mean that they live under those regrets all the time, but they can admit that that was a bad decision. And so I think there's this dream. I think the dream is me working out my anxieties. Like, yeah, I made mistakes, but I am also happy for the life I have. And so some of the dream is you just working out your inner emotions. And then sometimes there's stuff that's like super profound that I don't know what category. I mean, we see prophecies in the Old Testament. They're given my dream. And is that me doing that? It is? Okay, I'll fix it in a second. So it's a hard question to answer. I don't know what they mean.
Well, here's something for you guys to smoke on, because this is one dream that I had a while back. I used to work at a hotel, and I can't explain this. This is the weirdest thing I've had happen to me. I don't have very many ghost stories. I don't have very many strange, supernatural. I guess we'll categorize it as supernatural. I've never had anything. Well, I've had very few things that you could classify as supernatural happen to me. But this one time I had a dream, because I worked at this hotel. I had this dream where I was at work, and I work at night, obviously, and I was walking around the hotel, and I found out that somebody had come in and they'd shot up everybody at work. And I find all these bodies, there's blood everywhere. It's terrible. It's this horrifying dream. And I woke up, and I really didn't want to go into work that morning, or that evening, I guess, because it was a night job. And I was like, oh, like something had bothered me. So I was like, well, I'm just going in against my better judgment with this dream, because dreams, whatever, it doesn't mean anything. I'm going in. So I went into work, and it was a normal day. And as I'm, working and getting started with the beginning of the shift routine, I guess you could say, suddenly there's a whole bunch of commotion up at the front office. And finally I end up getting there, and I'm like, hey, yeah, what's going on? And they tell me that there is a disgruntled employee that used to work at the hotel, and they had a long-standing grudge with one of the managers there. And he showed up. He actually has the manager actually has a restraining order against this guy. They saw him walking up the hill, and he was coming over. They had actually called the cops because they weren't sure what he was going to do. And so I think they ended up carrying him off. But it was just so strange, right? It was one of those things where it's like, I don't know. That could, some people would say that's just a coincidence. Nothing happened beyond that, but it was just so strange. I couldn't just forget about it. So there you go.
Do you think that now you said you decided you were still going to go into work, even though you had a dream like this?
Yeah.
So, I've heard where, God has spoken to people in dreams. Is that correct, Michael Foster? I mean,
Definitely in the Old Testament, he has. Yep.
So does the devil speak to people in dreams too?
I don't think he has that sort of power. I think he's not an equal and opposite power to God. But I do think you can be tormented by demons. I do believe that there are such things as demonic spirits. I do believe there's a spiritual realm that's very real. And I think a lot of people have experienced something that they would say like, okay, that was more than the material realm. Right. I know a lot of people have. I know I have. So the idea that there's some demonic influence in dreams isn't far off. I don't know what the mechanism of that would be, though. Like that they're in your head, like they know your brain waves and stuff. I don't know that that's the case.
Well, let's go to Frank Pesci. Frank Pesci, what's your thoughts on dreams in a dream state?
Well, I think first and foremost, dreams testify that there's another reality outside of our flesh. Dreams tell us that there are things that are abstract, both in this life and perhaps in the next. And, our mind is only able to capture so much. When you're in the state of sleep, you're basically in a position of submission, as it were, right? You don't necessarily have control of what's going on. I know in the book of Acts, I think it's chapter 2, it says that old men shall dream dreams. So I can definitely think of many dreams from the Old Testament. I can't really think of too many that were described in the New Testament, if any at all. But I definitely believe that dreams do come from the Father. I also believe that, dreams can be influenced by the demonic, like Michael is speaking about. One night, my wife was, 8 months pregnant or something like that. And she was sleeping and I can hear her tossing in her sleep, like, like something's going on. And I shake her, wake her up. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she couldn't really speak. And she just started pointing towards the door. So I started to pray, over the door. I basically just, rebuked whatever it was that was happening. And she woke up after that. And she said, I saw a man standing at the door, totally demonic, wearing some kind of robe with a, chalk white face, just staring at us. And after I prayed over that, at that moment, that went away and that was that. And we both felt a relief and went back to sleep. So we do recognize that the demonic definitely exists. And whether or not it caused her to have that dream, I don't know, but it certainly had an influence on her state at that time. And as a husband and as, the head of my household, as it were, I took that authority to go ahead and exercise, my right to do so. I personally have a lot of dreams. They say that we dream every night. They say that we dream every time we sleep. And I think I heard Jordan Peterson or, one of these guys like Nietzsche or something like that say, if dreams don't matter, why do we have dreams every day of our lives, right? So dreams do matter. I have seen some of them come to pass in my life. Those dreams were abstract, but what I usually do is I write them down. I think about it. I pray about it, talk to the Lord about it. Sometimes I'll talk to people who I trust about it, and I'll see those dreams work out in one way or another, and I can connect it back definitively to some of the things that I saw in dreams. It's not something that happens often, but I can think of definitely a handful of times in my life that those dreams have come to pass. And then there are other times you have dreams, kind of like Michael said, that, are kind of just a conglomeration of your experiences throughout the day. I think he said something about Screech interviewing you for a job. I definitely agree with that as well. So yeah, Tony, I would say to you though, regarding your dream, if you're having this dream, like I think you said it was a reoccurring dream, then you should pray about it, man. You should ask the Lord if he's trying to show you something about it. And from a practical standpoint, I would also probably ask myself, when I have these dreams, what are the common threads in my life that align with these dreams? Because I think you said you've had them at different times and in different seasons. I would look at it and say, what is the common thread associated with these? Also, when you don't have control in a dream, it's a scary feeling, especially if you can't wake up or control the dream. And, that would, if it was me, that would indicate to me that perhaps in my own life, I may have a belief system where I think that I have control over something that I don't. And in which case I may need to bring that to the Lord and ask him to deal with that for me. So that's kind of my thoughts on dreams.
I mean, today I knew I was sleeping. But I was still in my dream. I was still driving, and I had All I remember is keeping that foot on the brake, and the brake kept depressing farther and farther and farther and farther and farther, and I could not stop. But I couldn't see out the windshield because the sun was in my eye. And it was funny too, because I think I had the blanket pulled up over me. So when I woke up, I saw darkness, but I think I physically woke myself up. So again, I've had versions of that same dream. Like I said, I've had the cartoon land where it looks like a ribbon just keeps going and going, and I'm driving out of control. So that's the only real style of a dream that I've had. Today
in the abstract, I would say, Tony, right? The breaks probably represent the systems of the world, machines, technology, things that you do on a regular basis, things that you put your trust and faith in. And the sun that's blinding your eyes may more or less represent either what God wants to do in your life or something that has a bigger power over those systems of the world that you may or may not be relying upon. And as far as the roads go, the roads probably speak to your perspective on how you see things, what your expectation of those things should be. And now all of a sudden they're out of whack, and the things that you have believed upon or, whatever, put any kind of trust in are failing you at this moment. So I would say the dream is important, and that you may be, the Lord may be trying to either do something in your life, or you may be at a crossroads where you need to make some decisions. And if you have this dream over and over again, it's worth looking into. And I mean, just like it says in the book of Genesis, Joseph says, who alone can interpret dreams but God himself. So, I would definitely investigate it if I was you.
Has anyone had the deja vu? I get that quite often.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I dreamt this. I know I did this exact situation. And yeah, I get that. And a lot of times my dreams, the only time I remember them is usually because it wakes me up. Like I stumble or trip, when it wakes you up. And it's usually when you daydream, right? That little slip you feel when you're sleeping, and then you wake up, you weren't really slipping.
Do you now, Marty?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Do you think? And this is with me anyways. You can't control your dreams. You can't control your actions. I don't get scared in my dreams. Okay. I don't really think I've really had I wouldn't call that a nightmare. I wasn't afraid. One of the things I know I was thinking while I was in that dream is I don't want to hit somebody, because it was an exact location where I drive all the time. And I know there's people crossing the street because it's basically in a parking lot. And I'm like, my foot's on the brake. I can't see, the sun's blinding my eyes, and I'm pushing the brake, and I can tell I'm not stopping. So I don't want to say I was scared. Would you consider that a nightmare or a dream? And I did physically have to wake myself up. I did.
A nightmare is what you determine it to be, right? It's how you felt. If you felt it was bad, then it's a nightmare. I've had dreams where, and maybe, I'm going to have to go to the loony bin for admitting this, where I'm like slashing people away, like I'm in a zombie apocalypse or something, and didn't faze me one bit when I woke up. Maybe I'm the only one who's ever had that.
Well, I think there's a difference between bad dreams and nightmares, because you can have a bad dream that can make you feel uncomfortable or nervous, and it's not necessarily a nightmare. Like I would determine a nightmare, like you're freaked out, you're scared, you wake up in a cold sweat, or maybe like you're in the dream, you feel trapped, and because I can't recall having nightmares, but I've had a few bad dreams, and my wife, she's the person who, she's always dreaming, and it's always bad. I even talked to her, it's always something going on or something with the kids, or those of us who are married, right? Mike, I don't know if this happened to you, but she had a dream that I had cheated on her. She's upset with me the next day. What? I didn't do anything. It's happened before. But she always has these bad dreams, and it's usually something like someone's trying to get her or someone's trying to get the kids, and she couldn't find me or something. And that I would consider like a nightmare, And I've had bad dreams where I don't know, because I can't recall. Like some of the dreams that I can't recall, it's kind of like Marty, but on the other end of it, it's not like zombie apocalypse, but something's going wrong, something's going bad, and I'm like kicking down doors, trying to take people out of dangerous situation. I've had dreams like that, but not a crazy zombie apocalypse. But I don't know. I think there is a difference between bad dreams and nightmares. Yeah, I've had those are the kinds of dreams I remember. I don't know if it's because I like action films or if I'm the oldest of 4 boys and just always been in a leadership position. I don't know, but I've always had dreams where I'm kicking down doors, trying to save people, trying to take this person out of a bad situation, things like that. And I don't consider them bad. I consider them tense. You know, like I wake up kind of hyped, like, and then it dissipates after some time. But anyways, to go back, I don't think that you could call all bad dreams nightmares. I do think there's a difference there.
I'm going to add to your story, Finn. It's about what you mentioned earlier. I one time woke up and my face was sore. And I was like, holy crap. This was when I was married. I was like, hon, what the hell? She looks at me and she goes, I had a dream you cheated on me. And she
She's smashing you while you're
woke up
sleeping?
and cold cocked me.
No, my wife never hit me. She just kind of, her mood was different
Crazy.
towards me for a day, half a day. But
It didn't wake me up. I just woke up later. Like my face was swollen.
I mean, we talked about this, I think off air, that everybody's had a dream, and when you wake up, what happens? I think Mr. Finn had said it. It gets farther and farther away, and you stop remembering it. So I know that when I wake up from a dream immediately, I immediately try to put the pieces together. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I always do that.
I try to go back to sleep and get back to the dream, especially if it was not, I don't say like if I was enjoying it, but if it was something that seemed meaningful or like deep or something, like I've often tried to like force myself, go back to sleep and get back to what I was doing because it felt important. Have you
ever actually had that happen? Because I have, where I've had a dream. I remember I had a dream where I was surfing and it was just like an endless tube and it just wouldn't stop. It was just great. All I could see is the tip of my surfboard. And I just kept carving and carving and carving. I remember waking up, I'm like, wait, I don't want this to stop. Let me go back like right now.
Yeah, I've had that often. Like when I dream, I usually have that feeling like I want to go back. Because like I said, I can't recall bad dreams or nightmares. I think if I could think about it, some of the bad dreams or nightmares that I've had were the kinds of dreams where I'm isolated. Like I'm around people, I'm around things, but it's like I'm isolated. Like I'm being pulled back or something, or there's some kind of gap or distance. Not necessarily physically, but like a separation. Those are the kind of bad dreams I can recall having. Nothing like dying or falling or things like that. But on that point, though, Tony, there are those dreams where I wake up. It's like, oh, I want to go back. There's something there like that I was doing, and it just never happens.
It's something that's a really good dream. It could be you're doing something that you're absolutely enjoy. That it's like I need to get back to that right now. Yeah. So
I got a bad habit, guys. I don't know if you guys do it. Dream or not, I always ruin it. I never remember because the first thing I do when I wake up, look at my phone. I can't help it. Like out of habit, the first thing I always do when I wake up is like look at my phone to see if I missed a message, and then I forget what the hell I was dreaming about, trying to remember.
Yeah, I think that's a habit a lot of people have. I like to say I'm trying to break myself of that habit. So let me ask you guys about.
I think it's interesting, Tony, when you're might be a delay here. I'm sorry. I was just going to say it might be interesting with your dream that you're in a psychological state of dreaming, yet you wake up sweating. So the psychology became physiology in your body, which may mean that dream is trying to become a reality. So, I would think about that too.
Yeah, that's very unusual because, I had the AC nice and low, even though really didn't need it today, but nice and low. And again, watching the Masters golf tournament, and all I did was close my eyes. Again, that's after about 12 hours of sleep last night, which is very unusual. I think I've just been a bit physically and emotionally exhausted from different things in my life at this point. I'm a very reality-based person. And again, I think a lot of times I do try to carry other people's weights, which I need to sometimes not do that. I do care about people. I care about men. I care about family. I care about friends. So when I know somebody is in some sort of just some sort of disaster in their life, or I also think about people that like, and it's probably something I shouldn't worry about, that don't like me or don't care about me. I don't know if that's natural, normal. Most of the time I can say pretty much go F yourself. But sometimes I don't think there's anybody in this world that wants to be disliked. I don't think that's something that somebody really truly wants. I can deal with it, but I think realistically for me, there's been a lot of, I don't even want to say drama, but a lot of me caring about people and their issues at this point in my life. And I say that too for people I don't know. Again, I've had a lot of guys since I mentioned, hey, reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter. A lot of guys reach out to me. And of course, I would never say any of your guys' names on this live stream, but I do appreciate that. But I think I tend to carry some of their weight. And when I think about certain things, I think it tends to just weigh on me a bit. I don't know why. It's not like I'm not an emotional person per se. I don't really believe in emotions as far as if somebody doesn't like me, it usually doesn't affect me. But I think we all want to be liked. We all want to be loved. So I think
there's a part of us in every one of us that wants to be accepted, you know, and we see this manifest with kids and schools, you know, like you have the cliques and the cool kids. And, you know, now we're seeing this manifest outside of that in social media, right? And these dopamine the hits that people get, right, from hitting the likes and stuff. So I think a part of it is like everyone wants to be liked. Everyone wants to fit in. No one wants to not be liked or feel excluded. And I think also, Tony, maybe what's going on, like with this reoccurring dream, could be a lot of just what's happening now in life, you know, like what's going on in this manosphere, what's going on and everything else. And kind of like what Frank said, you've got like the breaks, the things that are of the world and stuff. And then you have the sun that's blocking you. That's more of the natural. And I think there's this kind of maybe conflict or something, and you trying to press the brake and not able to, you know, I'm no expert. I think there are some signs there, you know, and the fact that it's reoccurring, that might be something to look into.
Yeah. I mean, when I say reoccurring, not reoccurring, I mean, it's been reoccurring for years.
Oh, okay.
The driving out of control. This one today was very specific. Something that I don't, I was trying to figure it out. And it's funny because when I decided on this, my get it off your chest topic for the night, I'm like, this is a great topic because everybody dreams and everybody tries to interpret their dreams. I think that will mess you up more than it'll help you trying to interpret it. You know, Frank had the best interpretation of my dream right now. So I'm just really curious. I mean, I've been thinking about it since I popped up about probably 5:15, maybe, you know, 5:30 this afternoon. And I looked at the clock and I was probably out for maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes. But I was out cold, you know. So I also noticed.
I was going to ask you how long you were asleep. 45 minutes?
Yeah.
So think about that. You were asleep for only 45 minutes, and this message had come to you in such a short time. Some of the most profound dreams I ever had was me sleeping for 20 to 40 minutes. So, and then I was like, okay, you know, there's something to this. I gotta get to work here. This is an action dream. This is not 12 hours of sleep, and this is what I can remember.
Now, when I started the show, I talked about sleep, okay? And sleep is something that's very important to all of us. It's especially as men too. It helps your testosterone. It just helps you, you know, there's nothing better than waking up fresh. There's certain places that I can sleep. I can sleep after I'm physically exhausted. I am the type of guy where, like, when I am in a hotel, for some reason, I can sleep like a baby. I don't know if anybody else feels like that. I think when I'm in my environment, there's so many things around me that keep my mind working. You know, I try to separate things. Like, I have an office, but I do most of my business work on my coffee table. So me separating business and home life is something I probably don't do well because I am self-employed. People think when you're self-employed that you are, oh, wow, you're self-employed. Yeah, the money's better, but guess what? You're pretty much working 24/7. You don't go to an office 9 to 5. Yeah, there you go, Mr. Finn. Yeah, you don't. It's something that you're doing. Like when I'm at a hotel, I can sleep like a baby. I go to, like, say, visit one of my buddies, like who was in West Palm Beach. I could sleep like a baby down there. I'll go to my woman's house Sunday afternoon, watch a movie, fall asleep on the couch, like it's like just out like a light. So I think there's certain places that I'm super comfortable in. For me, being out of my environment helps me sleep. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. There's so much mental stimulus here at my own home that sometimes it's hard for me to get away from that. There's also one other place I can sleep and fall asleep, and that's in my backyard in the sun. When I lay in the sun, I can absolutely pass out, or on the beach with an umbrella. That's another place that I can, when I say fall asleep, I mean like just I'm very comfortable, and then all of a sudden I can just not think about anything and sleep. So, Michael Foster, I think you're itching to say something here. No?
No, not really. I think it's just sort of subconscious. My view on dreams is I don't make too much of them, but I assume that there's something in the back of my brain that I'm working through. So if something happens in a dream and it's vivid, memorable enough, I will take note of it, you know, and I won't make too much of it, but I do. I've had dreams come true, and it doesn't really fit the best into my theology, but I can't deny that I've had that happen. So deja vu is really your subconscious realizing something about like a millisecond before your conscious does. So it's not actually a dream you've had. It really is your experience. We experience reality at multiple levels. So think of like how you react to grab something, right? So there's like a lot going on in your brain that you're not always aware of, like breathing or whatever. So deja vu, the best theories on it is that you see something and part of you for some reason perceives all that something first. And then when your conscience realizes it, it feels like it's happened before. And it's all because the order in which it happened inside your brain. In terms of like actual chronological order, it's already happened. Like it happened all at once. But in terms of mental order, there's a sense that this was happening before it did, but it really didn't. Right. So that's like deja vu. But I think a lot of what's going on is we pick up on people's tone. We pick up on their body language. We pick up on their smell. We pick up on a lot of different things that register with us and then filter out into our dreams. right? Where it's almost like our meditation. So I always tell people meditation is not emptying your mind, it's chewing your thoughts, right? Like it's like digesting, tossing around. And I think a lot of times in our dreams, what's happening, things that we've picked up with people are working their way out. So there's someone that's like a nice guy in your day-to-day life, but in a dream, suddenly he's depicted as a villain or whatever. Well, it may be that you're picking up something at a subconscious level and you're like starting to figure it out in your head. I've actually had that happen a couple of times, you know? And so I try not to get too weird about it. Like it's me dipping into some sort of spiritual realm or something. More like it's my brain working through phenomena that I have in the day to day, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. I like that. It's instead of it actually, in other words, just because you dream it doesn't mean it's meaningful. You know, it's just something that your brain, like you said, a phenomenon, which I think is just, that's a great explanation. But isn't it also where, I mean, I think everybody dreams something and you always try to find the meaning of it. I do anyways. I could think about it all day long, because when you think about it now, when you have a dream, okay, a lot of times a dream when you're sleeping, that is your reality when you're sleeping. So it's something that basically physically has happened to you in your dream. I mean, it's physically happened to you.
Yeah, man. I think I work out my anxieties a lot of times in my dreams. I actually, this is going to sound super crazy, but I actually like work out problems and write sermons in my dream and write things in my dream. So I like actually wake up and have solved an issue. So I just finished my book today. So 40,000 words, 10 chapters with a prologue and epilogue. Turning it into the publisher on Thursday after final edits. And I'll write a chapter and then I'll read it and I'm like, this is wrong. Something's missing. And I'll go to bed thinking about it. And I will, in my sleep, sort through the thing I was stuck on. And I'd wake up and I'll like, you know, that Kermit the Frog gif, you know, like you're hitting it all hard trying to get it out. And so it's just amazing the sort of things that I really think dreams is the space where your brain's working things out that you're preoccupied with, whether it's for you, Tony, just staying in control of your life, staying in control of your emotions, staying in control of your relationships, making sure you don't hurt people and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that seems like an apt metaphor for that sort of stuff. Or whether you're working through anxieties or your deep fears. When I was a kid, I had lots of dreams about aliens. And I think it's because I grew up in the 90s where there was like shows like X-Files. And there was a Sightings was like a show that was on back in the day, which was kind of like, it was like kind of like Unsolved Mysteries. But
we had the Outer Limits too.
Outer Limits, they had the reboot of that. I watched that too. And so like aliens were like this thing out there that could get you and you couldn't stop it, right? This power that you didn't have power over. And again, that's like a really powerful metaphor for a lot of things. It's archetypical. And so those aliens would pop up in my dreams quite a bit when I was a kid and really kind of haunt me almost. And then I became a Christian and it totally went away, you know, just like overnight it went away. And so it's like whatever was disturbed in my mind was put at rest by my conversion and knowing that God is sovereign over all. So dreams are like a check engine light. Sometimes they mean things are really like concerning, and a lot of times they don't mean anything.
Yeah, it's funny you said that about when you were a kid, because my dreams I remember vividly as a kid, which it's funny because you guys might laugh. me being 58 years old, so growing up, I was born in 1962. So what happened is that my biggest dream was Frankenstein. I don't know if you guys remember the old Frankenstein movies. So think of like the late 60s, 70s black and white style Frankenstein movies. There was no CGI back then. It was all just scary stuff. But I do remember Frankenstein dreams when I was younger. Those were the ones that used to scare the hell out of me. And till this day, I don't know why, because Frankenstein doesn't really scare me. I think he's kind of goofy. But I think if you look at the old Frankenstein movies, he is actually pretty scary. So,
well, there's that.
Yeah, and the old Dracula. So,
about to say, there's that classic scene right in the movie where he's with that little girl. I always remember that scene, like that part where she's like picking daisies, and then it's kind of like, oh, this is heartwarming, and I think he throws her in the lake or something.
Yeah, that's the Boris Karloff Frankenstein, if I'm correct, right?
I think so. Yeah.
What's interesting is, are you guys familiar with sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
So when you hear descriptions of demon possession and alien abduction, if you ever read those, a large amount of them are very close to sleep paralysis, right? In other words, those weren't aliens, those weren't demons. Your body, part of your body woke up while another part of your body was still asleep and unable to respond, right? And then because not everything's processing, it creates a sense of a figure, right? And that to me is fascinating. I've actually never experienced sleep paralysis, but I got real interested in some years ago alien abductions and demon possession, and I looked into sleep paralysis, which was there's a sense of someone sitting on your chest, right? And if you look in old like Reformation European history period paintings, there'll be a demon sitting on someone's chest while they sleep in their bed, right? Which is just like, okay, cool. Like those people were perceiving like a very real phenomena to be something other than what it was. There was no demon on your chest per se. You were feeling, you were breathing in such a way because you're not fully awake that it was creating that sensation. And so much of these things that we attach meaning to aren't the things that we think they are. And that sort of stuff is fascinating and fun, I think, to study.
Well, I'm going to bring Paul Galvin in. I put the link in the chat if anybody wants to join in. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope I'm not intruding.
Not at all. You have a avatar tonight? How come?
I'll turn on my camera in just a bit. I am eating,
okay.
So I don't want to gross everyone out with my poor manners.
Do you have any thoughts on dreams and sleep?
It's kind of weird when it comes to dreams in that it's kind of difficult to explain exactly what they are. I don't believe that they have anything necessarily meaningful to them. I think when we have dreams, it's just that our brains are kind of, it's still functioning as we are sleeping, and so then that is kind of the result of our dreams at the same time. I mean, I've never woken up from a dream and thought there was something meaningful in what I just experienced, because it all seems like complete gibberish. Like when I look back onto it, it just seems extremely random, that I don't see anything actually organized or meaningful about it.
Okay. Let me bring Frank back on.
I want to add to what Michael Foster was talking about. I myself have solved lots of issues in that twilight sleep. Not necessarily like the deep sleep, but when I was in the States and I worked as an electrician, I've always been thrust in leadership roles. And even as an electrician, I used to run jobs, and I would always take the hardest job. And sometimes I would hit a wall, right? You know, like, how am I going to do this? Or even in life, like, something's going on. How am I going to fix this? And in that kind of twilight sleep, not necessarily asleep, but not awake, you know, you're kind of falling asleep. I would have those. What is that? Oh, that's Paul. I would have one of those. That's okay. I'd have one of those eureka moments. Like, boom, that's it. So when Michael Foster was talking about that, that really resonated with me, because most of the biggest issues in life, whether it be a problem at work, like having to figure something out, or in my personal life, how to solve it, it came to me while I was falling asleep. I don't think I would figure things out as asleep, because I'm a deep sleeper. My wife is really jealous of me because, like you, Tony, I could sleep in the sun in my backyard. I could sleep in a chair. I've fallen asleep in my car waiting for my son. I was half hour late to pick up my son because I fell asleep outside waiting for his clinic to finish. I don't sleep a lot, but I sleep easily. And so I don't really, maybe that's why I don't remember my dreams, because I sleep deeply.
Well, I don't sleep easily. That's one thing I don't do.
I do.
I have to be comfortable in the location or with the person that I'm with. That's two things.
Gotcha.
But I don't sleep easily ever. I have to be physically exhausted or mentally exhausted.
Yeah, I do. I don't have a big problem going to sleep. I don't sleep a lot because I, like you said, being self-employed, I'm working all the time. I'm up early. I go to bed late. But today myself, I did take about a 45 1-hour nap as well, because I felt like I needed it. I had a little bit of a headache after I ran a bunch of errands today. But anyways, just to hit that, because talking about sleep, not just dreams, but talking about sleep as well. And when Michael Foster had mentioned how he solved problems or wrote sermons or figured out something missing in his book, that really resonated with me. Because like I said, most of the biggest things I had to resolve, fix, or figure out came in that kind of twilight sleep. Not awake, more falling asleep. Because if I go into a deep sleep, I dream, or I remember my dreams.
I feel like one of the issues I have is that I feel like I'm wasting time sleeping.
That's me.
That sounds crazy, but I feel
that's me too.
Like
I feel the same way.
I could be doing this. Why am I sleeping?
That's what gets me up in the morning. I should be sleeping in the morning. I was like, no, I got things to do.
Yeah, like researching or something like that. I mean, if I want to go to sleep, I can. Realistically, the Golf Channel will put me to sleep. Golf is just absolutely beautiful, and I love golf. Or a movie will just knock me out cold. Anything that stimulates my mind does not put me to sleep at all. It has to be something boring.
I can't watch TV anymore. Like when I'm tired, I can't watch TV. I'll fall asleep right away. Yeah. So I don't even watch TV. I watch Falcon and Winter Soldier with my kids on Fridays. That's it right now. But there was a show called I can't remember. It's a British show. It's about 90 minutes long. And me and my wife have seen the first 45 minutes of a bunch of episodes. Because like 45 minutes in, we're like passed out on the couch and don't even care. But do you guys use white noise? Do you need like fans or thunderstorms or anything like that to
Rain is something that is just, sometimes if I want to take a nap, I pray for the rain. It never rains in Florida where I am. It seems like ever. It seems like it hasn't rained in 5 years here. It rained today, which was actually kind of nice, but it was a thunderstorm when that front came through. But rain is a beautiful thing.
Come out and visit me, Tony, because it's raining like crazy now at the change of the weather.
No, rain is something like, say, tomorrow morning. Now, it's supposed to rain. There's nothing better than, say, I want to sleep in and I wake up at my normal time, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's raining. It's just absolutely beautiful. I can go right back to sleep without any issues. So
one thing that sucked about getting older is I heard this was going to happen, but it really doesn't matter when I go to bed. I'm going to wake up basically at the same time. Yeah. Right. Like I'm going to wake up. I've been up since I got up about 4:45, 5 a.m. this morning. And that's just how I wake up. And so if I stay up to 2, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. Right? If I go to bed at 11, that's how it is, or whatever. I don't need a lot of sleep to operate. I operate on about 6 hours of sleep most nights, sometimes 7 or whatever. I try to be more disciplined because all those doctors say you need more. But that's what I've learned is when I was young, whenever I went to bed, it didn't matter. I sleep like 10 hours, right? But as I've gotten older, it's like my body just wakes up. I don't know if it's just because of the amount of responsibilities that kind of hinge on you as you age or what it is. But I know that sleeping in, even on Saturdays, if I sleep in, it's like maybe 6 something. But today it was like, man, I've been up. I got a new dog. That's also part of what's going on. But I don't know. That part of getting older sucks.
Yeah,
I'm the opposite of you guys. I tell myself I need to sleep because I deal with numbers all day and I write contracts for a living. But I say to myself, if I don't get my 10 out, if I don't get 8, 10, I know I'm gonna have a shit day. But I'm lucky. I have this thing called Echo Show, the Alexa, the little bot with the screen. If I'm in a pissy mood before I go to bed, I just say, Alexa, play whatever, soothing or rainforest, and that helps. But
Kenny G, right? Kenny G, lots of Kenny G.
Not really Kenny G. That might be. It depends if the ladies are over, but but normally it's more like, I need my 8 hours. I actually say to myself, and I always wake up at the same time, but I'm able to then just look at my Alexa, close my eyes, and go back to sleep. I just say, Alexa, 8 o'clock, and go back to sleep.
Yeah, I'm a 7 to 8 hour guy. I feel good at the 7 to 8 hour level. 8 hours, I feel good. Again, my work is very physical, so and I do my work. I'm not a morning workout guy. Some guys are. I'm not. I have to work out in the evening. But if anybody knows when you lift when you lift in your evening, say I lift 6, 7 o'clock, what does it do? It does the exact opposite of what most people think it's going to do. You think it's going to make you tired. It actually just creates an incredible amount of energy. And
yeah, that's why I like to work out in the morning, because for me, it's like getting my gears running, getting myself charged up, and I go for the day. So I'm one of those morning workout guys. And like Foster, I'm good off of 6 hours of sleep. I don't know how long I've gone off of 4 hours of sleep. In fact, I actually had to put an alarm on my phone for 10 p.m. and actually label that alarm shut down or wind down read. Because if I don't have that, I'll just keep going, because there's always something I got to do, create. I mean, I'm preparing classes. I'm creating content I signed a contract with someone running a school. I'm working on this, working on that. And throughout my day, I'm also with my kids and stuff. So before I put that alarm on my phone, I was going till almost 1, 2 in the morning and waking up at 5. So I literally had to put an alarm on my phone to kind of wake me up and like, okay, time to wrap up what you're doing. So I try to at least be in bed by 11 so I can get up 4:35 and be okay. So otherwise, I'm just running off of no sleep.
I want to address this real quick, and I hope it's not true, but Manosphere Black Pill News Renegade One took his own. Dipping dead after 31 after suffering catastrophic heart attack, family confirms. I hope that's not true. I
hope that's not the dipping that we've talked to here.
That's the only dipping there is. I really hope that's not true.
You know what's funny about Dippin, though? I found that he's like a really habitual liar, because I saw him on some other streams and he had different stories for everyone else. Next thing, he's Italian and he's a different age. He has 60 million in his bank account. The other one, he lives with his parents.
I just hope that's a rumor. So we'll maybe before the stream ends, we can verify that.
He probably faked his own death, and now his new name is Pidden.
Who is this?
Dippin. This guy Dippin.
Yeah, I know that he was a guy that was definitely hurting, and I I don't want to judge anybody, but regardless, I hope that's not true. I don't want us to be a rumor factory here. I'm going to bring on Emmanuel Godson here shortly from Ireland. Emmanuel, hang tight. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is that, real quick, is that I think we touched on it, but didn't really talk about it too much, is that sleep can be escape from reality. So let me bring on, when I say escape from reality, people sleep because they're depressed. They don't want to face reality. Let me bring on Emmanuel from Ireland here. Emmanuel, how you doing tonight? Good to see you.
Fellas, how's it going?
Good, good. How are you? I think we got a little delay in the
Is there a
garden
lag?
shed.
There's probably a lag. It's an interesting topic tonight. I'd like to know what part of scripture talk.
Sorry, go ahead. You froze up, Emmanuel.
I hope that helps. I closed down all my other apps.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you, your video, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an interesting topic. I'm going to do a bit of research, and Gonzo should do the research too, is to see what parts of scripture talks about when the Holy Spirit comes to you in dreams. It's an interesting topic. I'm not saying everybody's dream is from the Holy Spirit, but there was an occasion, I think it was Jacob, when he had a dream. He dreamt of the ladder going up to heaven. So there is an example of having visions in your dreams. But yeah, don't get too hung up on it, because you could become very superstitious about the meanings in your dreams and the yeah. But I have vivid dreams, you know. I'd often wake up from a vivid dream. I'd know I was dreaming in the dream, and then I'd stop for a moment to try and meditate on what exactly happened in the dream. You know, I have beautiful dreams sometimes.
Now,
It's
when
an
you have
amazing
these
thing.
dreams, are you like, is this post drug or alcohol or what?
No. Well, I mean, I take medication, right? I take antipsychotic medication, so you could say everything is interfered with. My brain and everything is interfered with chemically. But when I do have dreams, they're so vivid. Like there's moments where I'd meet like my father, and he's passed away. He'd be in my dream, and I'd know straight away. I'd say, I know I'm in a dream now because, you know, you died. So and I'd often bless him, or you know, just talk with him and tell him how much I miss him and all. I'm my twin as well. But they're very waking dreams, you know. And that's but the Buddhists believe that when you're enlightened, the difference between dreams and your waking life is no different. You know, that you can interact in your dreams as if you're awake, and it's just two different realities parallel to each other. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just talking off the top of my head. It's a fascinating topic, definitely.
Dude, I love you. I love your input. Now, if you don't mind, I did see a video with you, and I don't want to call. Do I call it a medical condition, or what your condition is, or what your condition was? If you'd like to tell people.
You can tell the guys, like, when, like, I'm 46 now, I'm going on 47. When I was 28 years old, I exhausted myself in college, and I had like a psychotic break. So I had a deep psychosis. Like I was suffering serious perception problems, and I developed delusions as well. And I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, so I've been on medication since. So that's what happened to me. But it was an amazing experience. But I'm a recovered schizophrenic now. You know, I've been well for a good number of years now. So
explain
sometimes I have like niggly paranoid.
What is the what is the definition, the medical definition of schizophrenia or schizophrenic?
Schizophrenia, as far as I know, there's a number of different types. Like there's bipolar schizophrenia, and then there's schizoaffective disorder, and then there's personality disorders. You can have psychosis, and you can develop delusions and hallucinations. You hear voices. Now, the type of schizophrenia I have, it's paranoid schizophrenia. So it's like I've developed a delusion that I'm being persecuted and people are talking about me. And that's I'm talking about things that I experienced years ago. They're not in my life now, you know. But these are the symptoms of paranoid psychosis. Is I believe that everybody around me, all these strangers on the street, were talking about me, and it was a very scary reality to experience. And I had kind of a hallucination, but I can debate whether it was a hallucination or not. But I just seen it was like everybody I was talking to, my family, everybody I knew, I could just see like the devil in their face. It was a very disturbing thing. It was a spiritual experience that I was surrounded by these negative, evil forces.
People have to realize is this was your reality as being schizophrenic, correct? I mean, this was your reality.
That's how I perceived it.
Did you struggle? Did you struggle?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Did you struggle yourself with discerning reality from what's reality and what's not reality?
For most of my life, I was a normal young man. You know, I was in a relationship with a girl for 7 years. I was just a normal dude, and I just exhausted myself. And because I was heavily involved in art, you know, all of my thoughts were about art, and it was the metaphor in art that really took hold of me. That when people were having conversations around me, I took it as they were speaking in metaphorical language. So they were saying one thing, but they meant another thing. You know, they were making allusions to certain things, and it all seemed to refer back to me. It was like very negative, sarcastic, belittling comments about me personally. That's how I perceived the reality when I was psychotic. Like it came on like a ton of bricks. So when I was all of a sudden, it developed over a week when I just didn't sleep and I exhausted myself, and then this psychosis, I just went tumbling, spiraling downwards into this psychosis that I became paranoid about everything, you know. It was a strange reality. Very powerful experience. And, you know, I can say before I'm dead, you know, thanks be to God for an interesting life. He never promised that it was going to be easy, but I can guarantee he'll promise you life will be interesting. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. But, yeah, so, dreams. I'm a harmless guy, really. Now, people have these phobias. They hear the word schizophrenia and they think monster. You know, that's the perception that people have of mental illness. But like 90% of the people who are going through psychosis and everything, they're terrified like little lambs. You know, the chances of them doing something crazy or like sick in the head is minimal. So the media has bombarded people with this idea of the violent nut job. That's not true. You know, for a lot of the people who are experiencing it, they're suffering unbelievably and they need help and they need a bit of compassion. I'd love to see the media change their attitude towards mentally ill people.
Yeah, so, and a lot of you're seeing in the chat here, you know, thanks for sharing. And I think that's important that, you know, you've been on this stream quite a few times, and, you know, it's probably been, I don't know, 4 or 5 times at least. But I always find your thought process and the way you deal with things, I find it pretty normal and pretty damn reasonable, to be honest. I don't, you know, what you're sharing with us here, I think is very personal.
At the moment now, people.
And I do appreciate you sharing that. I mean, to me, it's a big deal for a man to come out and talk about his issues.
Emmanuel, what helps you with
the,
dealing
with
with
the
the side
personal
effects?
stuff, when I always regard myself.
He's got
I'm
about a.
very lucky. See, I call myself recovered. Like, I don't see a psychiatrist. I've been released from the. I don't see a psychiatrist, right? So I've been released from the mental health clinic. So I've been declared well. So I'm recovered schizophrenic. Like, there is a cure for mental illness for most people who experience it, and it's down to the taking the medication. And in my case, with the medication I take, I'm very lucky. I don't experience any side effects. The only negative thing about my life is sometimes, because because I'm doing art, painting 24/7. Sometimes I lapse onto nighttime living. Like right now, it's 3:20 in the morning. I'm not asleep. I'll sleep tomorrow daytime. But my sleeping pattern is the problem that stops me from getting a job and everything. I can't control my sleep. I'm all over the place with my sleep. But apart from that, I'm as normal as anybody else. Um, yeah, I'm very lucky, and I wish I'd love to see society have a conversation. A proper, honest conversation, and engage with people who've had mental health difficulties, because there's an epidemic coming. There's an epidemic of depression coming in the West. Like, it's gonna hit the fan like you won't believe soon. So we need to stop. We need to stop demonizing people who want to come out and speak about it and share the truth about what it's actually like. You know. Yeah. Sorry to
And
lecture you. I don't mean to lecture
no,
everybody. I'm just talking
not
off
at
the top
all.
of my head.
Not at all, man. This is get it off your chest. I know Marty has.
Yeah, I'm just curious what he does. Like, what helps with the symptoms if he's
Can you
starting to
still hear
feel a
me?
little bit like? Yeah, can you hear me?
We've got a short delay,
If
so
Yeah, the only time I'd start feeling symptoms is when I'm not taking my medication. The
But what do
medication
you?
keeps me 100%.
But what do you do? Do you like do pot?
Some
Do you do
sometimes I might get a
alcohol?
bout of paranoia, right? Like, but it's not paranoia. No, no, I
Exercise?
don't.
Meditate? What
I
helps with
smoke.
it?
I'm a heavy smoker, so nicotine helps me with, like, I lean a lot on alternative therapies like meditation, and I listen to the spoken word. I love the Psalms, so I love to indulge myself in a painting session that could last hours, and I'd be listening to the Psalms, the Word of God, and all this kind of stuff. And I'd listen. You were talking about rain music. I listen to cats meowing. I like to hear cats meowing. But yeah, I just get stuck into my meditations, and um, a bit of exercise. I haven't been exercising the past couple of years, but I used to love doing the exercise. But my two big problems are my sleep and my smoking. I smoke too much. But yeah, I'm a normal guy otherwise. I'd love society to give the nut job a chance. Just give him a chance and see what he's like. You know.
I kind of have a weird, like an interesting kind of story, personal story. I never shared this on the stream, but I was a pretty heavy duty pot smoker in high school. And then outside of high school, it only got worse. And there were times where I literally would smoke a gram to myself in a night when I'm out with my friends and everything. And there was this one night. Well, so I took a 10-day break and I didn't smoke at all. And that essentially restarts your system. So it's almost as if you're not used to the weed, as used to the weed as you were before, right? So it hits you a little stronger. And I remember I just got done with work. It was like 6:30 at night, and my friends invited me out to go hang out for a little while. And I was like, all right, for sure. And I went out with them, and immediately we all just started smoking a lot of pot. Like, we all shared a joint together. I took like 3 really large hits from the bong, and then they had these little vaporizer pens as well, and I was hitting those, right? And I was just really going for it because I was thinking at this time I was fine. Like, you know, I was thinking I was technically a pro, quote unquote, and it wasn't going to hit me as bad. And the experience was so intense that it made me feel, the best way I could describe it was that everything seemed to just be like meaningless, in the sense that I just felt like an object, and that everything else in the universe was an object as well. And it was very depressing and awful. It was not anything that I would wish upon my worst enemies, because it actually made me feel like nothing had meaning, and that I couldn't really.
It sounds like you had nihilist dread. The nihilist dread, the sinking deep feeling of the darkness, like it was palpable. That's why we need God. God is the answer to that.
Well, it wasn't Phyllis. It wasn't like organized that way. It was as if it was the feeling that is what I felt in the moment. It wasn't something that I could really put into words, but that's a good transition, because that is ultimately what made me search for God, was the feeling it gave me. It made me realize in that moment that I didn't have God, or that I wasn't pursuing God. And that is kind of what brought me and started me on my journey of like really trying to figure it out. And I, you know, for many weeks afterwards, because what it left me feeling afterwards was depersonalization. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like, it's pretty much, you feel like, or you can't tell whether you are dreaming. Like, reality just feels like it's fake, and that everything is like you're just watching a movie. And that's what reality felt like for me for about 2 weeks after that experience. And it was terrifying, because I thought I gave myself a mental disorder. Like, I thought I severely hurt myself to the point of like, you know, if I continue going like this for like a few years, if this is what life is like, well, then it's only a matter of time until I just decide that it's time to end it, because I don't want to live like that forever. And I knew that I didn't want to live like that forever. I didn't know whether or not that feeling would go away. And it made me extremely, it made me extremely depressed. It's kind of interesting though, because in those moments, that's when I turned back to Christ. That's when I prayed the most. That's when I was really trying to rebuild myself again. And I think if it weren't for my prayers and me pleading, me asking for divine intervention, I don't think I would have been able to get out of bed those days and go work out and go to do my job. There were nights where I would go to my parents and I would just start crying, because I was thinking that I destroyed myself, that I was dead. And thankfully, now that I've regained my sanity, I'm able to think very deeply about a lot of stuff, and I'm also able to be more thankful for the life that I've been given, because if it weren't for that experience, I don't think that I would be as close to God as I am now. And so it's kind of it turned out to be more of a blessing than a curse at the end of it.
Good. Paul, that's a great story, man. I really do appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think right now with the legalization of marijuana and things like that. I think, I think it's taken as, yeah, it's a medicine. I get that. But I also think that it's as I've done my share of pot smoking back in the day, but I really do think it's crippling society. I think there's people that can handle it, but I think the majority of people can't handle it. They use it as a crutch. So
I think people underestimate it. It is a psychedelic, and it does make you extremely anxious, but anxious is kind of an understatement. They don't understand that it could actually turn a person, like what Emmanuel said, extremely nihilistic or almost paranoid to the point of, like, I remember this specifically after my experience. I was watching Tucker Carlson. I don't know why, but I was watching Tucker Carlson, and I started thinking, what if Tucker Carlson is an actor meant to, like, control me? Like, what if that's who Tucker Carlson is? And that's what I was thinking. And I was getting extremely freaked out because I knew that that wasn't the case. But I was also scared because I was thinking, why am I even asking that question? That's an absurd thing to ask, because that's something that only a completely delusional person would think. But
no, Paul,
Yeah.
I think
classic.
that, yeah, I think that's a great comparison you're making, because
That sounds like a classic delusion.
yeah,
You be careful. You got to be careful that if.
Go ahead, Emmanuel. I know, again, we got a delay here. But,
I was going to say that that kind of thinking that, like, this person on the television is doing something or connected to me somehow. That's classic paranoid delusion. And if you're having even one of them thoughts, you got to be careful that doesn't snowball into a major psychosis. So be careful with the pot. Just be careful with your mental health. That's a warning sign to you that you have that type of thought in your head. So just be aware that you might get locked into it in such a way that you can't escape. And you might be bombarded by thoughts like that, and that'll be your reality. And nothing anybody can say to you will be able to talk you out of that reality. So be careful with the pot.
it's kind of funny because, like you said earlier, you do have to believe in God to get out of those situations. And I think when it comes to the times where I was having, like, some sort of glimpses of psychosis, that's when I just had to surrender completely to God. And I had to just be like, I need to kind of relax and just understand that I can't possibly understand what's happening or what my life is, and that I'm not responsible for it, and that the only reason that I'm here is because God gave that to me, and that He deserves everything. So
I want to go to Gonzo. Gonzo, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do have well, I mean, I don't know if it's all that much of I didn't quite have a pot experience like, what Paul just described. But I can say that there was a point where I went on this massive bender. I was this was years ago. I was very depressed. It was at a point where, I feel like in my life there was never a point where I outright rejected God or rejected the idea of God. I think in the back of my mind there was always some very, very small amount of faith in there. Very, very small. but even so, I found myself just deep in that darkness, just deep in the hopelessness, struggling with the nihilism. And yeah, at one point I went on this this giant bender. I was working really hard. I was trying to move forward. I was working on my business, and a bunch of things ended up going wrong, and I got disheartened. And I was doing a lot of writing. I was making a lot of art at the time, and I started smoking pot like every single day. And I think I told I think I've talked about this on here before, but there was the subject of edibles came up once, and we talked about that. I ended up eating an edible once, and I got high for 3 days straight, which was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. It was terrible. I would I had it, and then I woke up the next day, and I was like, I think I'm still high. What's going on here? And then I went to bed, and I got up the next day. I'm like, really? This again? All right. But that's what happened, and it was just a total mess, because that's the thing. When I'm when I'm in that state, I can't really write. Like I can visually do things, but my brain is so scrambled that I can't keep a story straight in my mind enough to write. So yeah, basically at that point I was just in pure hopelessness, and I was in denial about being in the hopelessness. And also I noticed too is that a lot of times with pot, it actually makes me very paranoid. And so I relate a lot when we're talking about, these paranoid thoughts, these paranoid feelings that, like there's a conspiracy, something's out to get you, are people just acting, it's a very creepy feeling. And I found this is what confuses me, right? Is then, and I understand that we have different weed now than we had, back during the 60s and whatever. It's a lot stronger. It's a lot more THC. But, like the Beatles and a lot of musicians and stuff, they would be high and they'd be performing on stage. I could never play music in that state. I could never be out in public. I would be terrified. It'd be absolutely I'd be a total coward just out in public. And so, yeah, I think when I fell that low, there was just a point where I realized I'm like, this just isn't working. This isn't working, and I have to find another way out of this. We were talking about sleeping to escape reality. I feel like that kind of ties in it too. You can smoke to escape reality. Yeah, at some point I had to move. And even before that, I had stopped smoking. I had the experience with the food poisoning that almost killed me. And at that point, that was pretty much the end of my weed days, because I just didn't want to experience that. I wanted to just keep my clarity. After you've experienced something like that, it's hard enough to think clearly after you've been screwed up that bad. And so, yeah, I just wanted to maintain my clarity. And so I stopped doing it at that point. And then a while later, I pretty much got rid of all my alcohol. I had to move, so I couldn't just bring anything with me. So the weed, the alcohol, all that stuff, it went with that. And so I haven't touched anything like that since. I'll have a drink here and there. I'll have stuff here and there, and I'm not against it either. I think it's fine if people want to, you can, from like time to time, like everything in moderation, they say, right? But people do treat it like it's like this panacea, like it's yeah, it's medicine, it's nothing but good, like like Tony was saying. But in my experience, I think it it depends on the strain, but it messed me up.
All I heard was Gonzo bragging about having a 3-day high.
It was not fun. I'm telling you, it was not fun. It was
What
not
a-
fun. No.
Yeah. But let me say something, guys.
Gonzo.
This is my opinion when it comes to something like smoking pot or even like psychedelics. A lot of people say psychedelics you can find yourself. Well, I've seen people on the worst trips you could ever see. I think somebody with a weak personality should not do psychedelics at all, because I've seen people do things that they wouldn't normally do. Somebody with a weak personality, a weak mindset, it's not a good thing. And again, the strains of weed right now are super strong. But I think it also, when somebody says, oh, it doesn't bother me when I smoke weed, well, it might bother another person. I've seen bad trips. I've seen bad trips on weed where people, will take an edible or something like that, and it affects people totally different. I've never been one to get really mentally affected by anything, any type of, even the times I've been totally shit faced, I still have that thought process in the back of my mind. I think I told you guys a story. It was New Year's Eve. This was last year, not this past, but last year. I was so shit faced, had a great time with the friends. Uber driver dropped me off, and I was actually, this woman I was dating, wanted to, she was going to meet me at the house, and I got to be honest, I sat on my front porch, and I knew I could not. I knew I could not put the key in the door. I had the deadbolt and the lock set. I knew it wasn't a possibility, but I had the presence of mind. Even though I was hammered, I couldn't do it. I had to sit on my porch step and think about it. My thought process was still there. I think what happens is people with a weak mind or a weak mindset, they lose their thought process. I can still have a logical mindset in the back of all my physical feelings, but a lot of people cannot do that. They take that feeling that they're having physically, and it manifests mentally. It's kind of what I'm saying. And I've seen people go through bad stuff, whether it be on pot or any other type of drug. So I think it's what you have in your brain, and I think people are wired different. So somebody with I don't know if the right word is a weak personality or a weak mindset, that can't control that mind.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Gonzo is the perfect candidate for what I'm going to propose now, and I want to know if you guys have ever tried it. Is we're talking about getting drunk and high and everything. Did you ever savor soberness and savor reason and just sit and mindfully meditate on mindfulness? On the situation you're in right now and your awareness of the environment. It's a beautiful thing to do. Gonzo, you should try that. Just maybe have a long hot bath, right? Take a couple of aspirin to get rid of any aches in your body, so you're not aware of any aches, you're not being distracted by aches in your body, and just sit there and take everything in and just listen to the environment and be aware of everything. And hopefully the point of the meditation is it'll hit you with some profound force that Jesus Christ, I'm alive. My God, I'm awake in this creation. It's a profound and awesome thing to do. So it's another kind of escape, but you don't need drugs to do it, and it's a beautiful thing. You don't do it all the time, but like when you do feel like doing it and you really get into the zone of being mindful of the moment, it's a lovely thing. Yeah. Well, I often joke that I want to do LSD when I'm 60 years old. You know, I believe getting drunk and do it in moderation. Don't get off your face every weekend. People who work in 9 to 5 jobs, they live for the Friday night. That's all they ever talk about all week is, oh, it's nearly Friday. To get off their face. I think it's a sad way to be. But once in a while, you might get a bit tipsy just to let your hair down. That's part of mental health. And but don't abuse the drugs. And you have to test yourself. And if you have the kind of constitution where the drugs really affect you negatively, it's not a good idea to get into it. You can do without them. Don't. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Manuel, when I meditate, I don't find it to be find it to be spiritual. I find it just a balance and a relaxation. I meditate every night before sleep. Doesn't matter how much I drink, doesn't matter how much I smoke, doesn't matter how tired I am. I always meditate, and I always get this balance before bed. And the meditation actually allows me, when I hit the pillow, to actually feel like I'm sinking into the bed, and it's tremendous mentally therapeutic. I don't find it spiritual, but maybe what I'm saying is kind of spiritual. But it gives me a balance at the end. Does anyone else meditate on the panel?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do the silent prayer. It's something that Jesse Lee Peterson talks about a lot, but a lot of people compare it to meditation. And it's very similar. I'd say it's very similar.
Amazing.
Do the people in the chat meditate? I want to see what they're saying.
Do you not know, Nutshots, you're a spiritual being?
I think we all are in some way.
You're a spiritual being. Your whole life is a spiritual experience. It's just so happens. Yeah, so your whole life is a spiritual experience. It just takes a moment or two to sit back and take it all in and try and understand it. That's when the profoundness hits you. But everything you go through, all the dark times, all the pain, everything, that's all part of the spiritual struggle. So this idea of spirituality being something separate that you engage in or you pursue, you already are it. You just need to find it, I'd say. And just you'll have the realization that you're one of God's children. You're a creation in the creation.
Well, I believe in that. I believe we're all one of God's children.
Maybe.
I believe in an upper force. I believe there's a good place for good people. I don't think when I meditate. I focus on the breathing in. I learned transcendental meditation years ago, and I focus on the breath coming into my nose and out. I try to be as thoughtless as possible during the meditation. And
that's what it's about. Like about the silent prayer. The silent prayer is pretty much, it's basically letting your thoughts go. You're really not supposed to think about anything, and I think there's just a difference in words here. I think meditation and prayer. I don't meditate. I consider myself a Christian. I consider when I do that, I'm in prayer. I think it's just a different word set. Yeah, we all are spiritual, whether you believe it or not. I think Marty, when it comes to different things, I think you have a strong personality, and you don't let your mind control your emotions or your reactions or your responses. I think that's a good thing to have. I am pretty much the same way. I don't let things control me. But that is not the case in a lot of people. A lot of people do not have control over their thoughts. That's something that, again, that I'm dealing with in the past couple of weeks, is not letting my thoughts control me. I think that's really important that we don't do that, especially as men and women. Don't let your thoughts control you. I look deeper into things. I look into my heart. To me, that's another part of me. And when I say I look into my heart, I look into how I treat people. Have I treated somebody badly? We talked about being the bad guy on Thursday night stream. If anybody hasn't watched Thursday night, my past stream on Are You the Bad Guy in Someone's Story? That can be tough on a lot of people. Again, nobody wants to be disliked. Nobody wants to be the bad guy. But I also think it's a mindset. A lot of times, again, I try not to carry a lot of weight, but I also look at if I did someone wrong, I try very hard to make it right. I will apologize and I will do the best I can to make that right. And it's up to them to accept it or not. Okay. So, but having a strong mind when it comes to a lot of things, whether you call it meditation, prayer, when people do psychedelics or do drugs or pot or whatever, I think having a strong mind is really, really, I hope I'm saying this right, but when I say a strong mind, a lot of people, again, under the influence of alcohol, drugs, whatever, they can't control. To me, something like that is the physical. It's not the mental. So I've experienced, like I said, being completely shit-faced, but knowing that I'm shit-faced, knowing that, you know what, I had way too much to drink. A lot of people can't do that. Just like you said, Marty, you go home, you might have a few drinks or whatever, but you go into a meditation. There's not a lot of people that can do that because the physical now has overtaken the mental. Again, I'm not some psychologist, but this is my thought process on that situation, that you have a strong mental frame. And people without a strong mental frame, man, they can really go down a dark, dark path. Like Paul was talking about, not to say that Paul doesn't have a strong mental frame, and it comes in all things in your life, in business and relationships, with friends, with your girlfriend, with whoever. So, everybody wants to be that strong guy, but a lot of people aren't. And then when you add those chemicals to that, I think what happens is when people add chemicals to their personality, it shows you your mental strength, where you're at. And that's my opinion. So, but yeah, I think you have a very strong mental frame, Marty.
Well,
so
that came out of a lot of habit. At one point I was very depressed, especially after separation with a lot of guys. I hit a big low, and we all looked for an answer, and I found this, and it was just out of habit. At first I was bad. I would forget to meditate. Habit. And, it's not like I'm naturally gifted. This was something I taught myself, and I think anyone could teach themselves. And it's not, you don't have to just meditate. It's just habits that help you mentally. It doesn't have to be meditate. Like Gonzo,
can I say
do the prayer at
something?
night. Yep. Go, Emmanuel.
Sorry, guys. I want to be the bad guy now. I want to be the bad guy, right? And kind of warn you about meditation, right? Because people often think the point of meditation is to empty yourself of all your thoughts and have no thoughts, and get into this Zen zone of Buddhist spirituality. Well, Jesus told us, don't lose your salt. Be careful you don't lose your salt. And the scripture talks about the man who was shattered by an eastern wind. Right now, the eastern wind is the eastern philosophies that talk about, the emptiness of the self and the loss of ego and all this kind of stuff. Jesus warned against it. He said, don't lose your salt. And every time God called somebody to do something, he called them by name. He says, David stood up and says, here I am, Lord. He stood in the sovereignty of his individuality. So don't get so heavy into this idea of meditation in the Eastern way, where you empty yourself. I've seen people on video saying, I am nothing. I don't exist. I am, I am completely empty. They're empty vessels, and they've been shattered by that eastern wind. So So try and hang out. God made you for a reason. He gave you all your experiences, and he called you by name. So when you're meditating, be careful you don't become an empty vessel. You know,
I think it's dangerous when you become an empty
That's
vessel
why
because you can leave yourself open to be filled by something else, and that could lead down to some dangerous paths.
Yeah, but Emmanuel, you're taking it
yeah,
too.
you're not.
You're taking both things too literal. Just because you get into a resting, calm state doesn't mean you're not the same person, same fierce competitor, same believer of your faith that you were 10 minutes before you meditated. All you're doing is you're relaxing your mind and body. You're not losing who you are, your spirituality, your faith in God. You're just zenning out, you're relaxing. But in the drop of a dime, if you get a call, my kid needs help, I'm jumping in that car and I'm fierce again. Relaxing the brain, shutting down the constant voices, the constant, turning that goes on. There are days where before I go to bed, I have a to-do list for the next day, and I'm already thinking how I'm going to tackle it. And a meditation actually stops me and says, you know what? You'll tackle this in the morning. That's all. It doesn't take me off my spiritual path. It doesn't take the ferocity how I approach life or anything, because then you could say prayer is a form of meditation. Prayer doesn't take your salt away. Just think of it that way.
Well, I think what you're saying is, Marty, is you doing like what I do is try to get rid of those thoughts. Those thoughts sometimes, to me, those thoughts, again, I believe that a lot of times these thoughts aren't your own. I know you're not, I think you are a religious guy, whether you believe it or not, but a lot of times these thoughts are not your own. So I think removing these thoughts from your mind is really important. Again, for me, for the past few weeks, maybe that's why I've had these dreams. And again, I'm not the person that wants to let somebody down or to have somebody dislike me. I've gotten a lot of hate in the past, I'll say 3-4 weeks. And it's not that I can't handle it, but I have to let it go. And sometimes it's difficult for me to let things go. So your form of meditation, I think, is helpful when you're not. Again, Manuel made a great point. I love the way he really phrased the whole thing. I think that was great. It's not don't be an empty vessel. I don't think, Marty, that's what you're doing, and I don't think anybody on this panel is doing that. And I wouldn't recommend that to anybody, because nobody wants to be an empty soul, a soul with somebody without something that you can't respond or react to a bad emotion or react to when you did somebody wrong and try to make it better. I don't think anybody here that's human can really live like that. You can't live like that. That's why, I think we talked about forgiveness and forgiveness.
No, Anthony.
I know Anthony Johnson had disagreed, but he's also a objectivist and he's a atheist, but that's his thought process. And I think that forgiveness is for you. I forgive a lot of people, and it cleanses me, because you know what? I've made my peace. Whether they accept it or not, that's up to them. I've also apologized to people that I've done wrong. And that, to me, an apology is a form of forgiveness. And also seeking forgiveness, I don't think is a bad thing also. I don't think that's a bad thing. And if they don't forgive you, well, it's on them. It's not on you anymore. But I think that, Marty, what you're doing, I think it's actually a good thing. You call it meditation. I'll say you're praying at night.
It's the same. It's sort of the same.
But that's, what? It's a very healthy thing to do. I think a lot of people are so stuck that on the I'm right position, no matter what. And that cleansing of your soul, of your head, of your heart. I know Anthony Velasquez doesn't like that word, but it's true. I think that there are certain parts of you. I think we have a heart, we have a soul, we have a mind. I think we're made up of different entities. that all makes us that person. So I think it's important that we cleanse that and clear our minds. Everybody does better with a clear mind. Everybody. I don't care who you are. So that's what I got to say about that. Anybody want to jump in? Feel free.
Yeah, I do. I think what you said is really profound, because if you think about it, the Trinity is a pretty strong thing. God is three persons in one. You look at his creation and our world. I don't know what you guys, I really enjoyed physical geography, and our world is created of the lithosphere, biosphere, and hydrosphere. We have, water has three states: solid, liquid, gas. We are body, soul, and spirit. So, you see these combinations of three things that are one at the same time. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And it's important that we keep each one of those states of ourselves healthy. I think we see a lot of trouble. I think a lot of chaos that's coming on in this world is because a lot of people are just feeding one of it, just like the body, just the flesh, and people forget about their spirit or their soul, their who they really are. I mean, I think everybody can realize, like, because this whole idea about dreams, and Frank's made a good point about that. Like, dreams, our consciousness, it's evidence or proof that there's more to us than just this body, because and we talked about this, how our dreams, when you're in the dream, it's so real. It's like there's no real difference from the feelings and even the physiological effects. Like, you woke up today, Tony, and you were sweating from the mind. And, the Matrix did a great job with that too, right? You're plugged in and something happens in the Matrix and it affects the body. So I think that's a great point, because there's more to us than just this meat suit that I like to call it. It's just our meat tent that we're living in.
Gonzo?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think I don't know. I've been smoking on the dreams thing more, because like I said, I'm just having a hard time reckoning with does it mean something? I like what Michael Foster said. Maybe it's just the subconscious and the conscience sort of recognizing. It's stuff that's like buried deep in there, trying to reconcile it. But at the same time, there is that spiritual aspect to it. I think maybe if something is being revealed to us, rather than trying to interpret it ourselves in that way, I think maybe just have that wait and see attitude about it. Because I think if you seek the answer, not try to interpret it, but if you like seek the answer, it'll be revealed to you eventually. I believe that. So that's just something I've been smoking on with this whole thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too. I think they look for answers the wrong way. I mean, I think people doing I don't even know what the hell is it called, the MDL or what's that, MDT,
Oh.
MDT and ayahuasca and acid. And I think that's a bad path to find yourself. I mean, mushrooms, things like that. I don't know if that's a good path to go down. I'll get back to a weak mindset. I mean, people can have a really bad trip, a really bad time, whether it be on that kind of hallucinogenics or even pot. You can have a really, really bad time, and it can be a life-altering change for you. And usually it's not for the good. So, we talk about all these different things that people want to search for self. And I think Emmanuel made the best point tonight, that you can find yourself probably the best in sobriety and just being who you are. Why do we have to search for a chemical to find ourselves, to find what we're searching for? I've heard the expression, it's, they're God's plants. This is what God put on this earth. We're going to take them. He put them there. No, that's not true. God also made, arsenic. Take that. You know, God made poison mushrooms. Why aren't you eating the poison mushrooms? So how is that logic proper? You know, that's my opinion. I mean, I don't, you know, for what it's worth, but
Well, I knew one guy who was really into mushrooms. He was really into psychedelics. He was into Terrence McKenna. He was into all that stuff. And I remember because he just seemed very spiritual in the way he would talk about things and kind of his outlook and all this sort of stuff. And he seemed kind of reclusive and sort of shut off. And I just asked him, I was like, you know, like what do you believe in? Like, what is it that you believe in? Do you follow any type of religion? And he basically just said straight up, like, I kind of just believe in the mushroom. And I was like, wait, what? But it's like, it really is like, he kind of explained it to me too. Like, I don't think this is like I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Terrence McKenna, but it does kind of get into some weird, it does kind of become its own religion. This whole idea that it's like, you know, the mushrooms are like trying to communicate with us or something, and the mushrooms understand us or something. It was very, very strange, but he was just saying that he basically, you know, he's like, I don't know, you know, how the universe works or any of this works. I think it is far more complicated, and, you know, we'll understand it when we die, but right now I just kind of pop the mushroom and, you know, and it's great.
Just be careful of stoners who try to sell you on how their drugs help them reach new levels you'll never understand.
Oh yeah. Well, no, the guy was very sad. Like this guy was a sad guy, you know.
Well, because his brain cells are fried. His happy emotions probably gone already.
You know.
Yeah, Manuel.
go ahead, Emmanuel.
My understanding of mind altering substances, right? I'm a bit on both sides, because Jesus, when he first came to us, thanks be to God, he came. His first miracle, Jesus' first miracle was to turn water into wine, right? So people could get merry and alter their state of reality for a time, you know. And it also says in the Bible, give strong drink to a man who's perishing, right? To ease his pain a little bit. So the idea of taking mind altering substances is in the Bible. But on the other hand, you know, it also says do everything in moderation and take the middle road and temperance when it comes to doing things. But don't abuse things. It's very important that you don't abuse them. If everybody went to a wedding every day and was, you know, off their head on drink every day, society would collapse, right? But once in a while, in moderation, it's okay, I think, in the eyes of God. I'm not speaking on behalf of God. I don't have the authority, but from what I understand in the scripture, it is acceptable for a man to take a mind-altering substance. And the cup of God's wrath is a foaming cup, and it's full of herbs, and we're going to drink it down to our very dregs, and we're going to suffer a serious delusion. That's in the scripture as well. So we're going to be badly deceived, and there's a cup full of foaming wine mixed with herbs and all this kind of stuff in the scripture. Metaphorically, of course, but I mean, we're talking about mind altering things. Our minds are going to be altered, you know.
Emmanuel, there is a difference between getting high to escape and getting high to just relax. You know, if you're getting high to escape, you're just burying the problem in a worse spot.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake. If you have a problem and you're taking drugs to escape the problem, you're not dealing with the problem. So the problem's going to become 10 times worse because you're not attentive to it. But then, of course, there's the other hand. You're absolutely right, where, you know, you just let your hair down and de-stress and make merry, you know. I think I don't know. I pity the people who are hooked on drugs, that they do it to escape misery. You know. I don't know what to say. But then I'm talking about myself really, because I take drugs to escape psychosis. So I don't know what parallel I'm making there. But yeah, I think it's a shame that people get hooked on abusive cycles in drugs. You know.
Yeah, I have to agree with
Give
that.
soberness a chance.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with that. I feel for those people who they're so like, I don't know, afraid or tired of real life that they'd rather just be stoned and drunk 24/7 and losing themselves, let's say in like video games or virtual reality. You know, growing up in the 90s and stuff. I mean, I had my share. I experimented and stuff. In fact, I think it was like what Tony said. I always had a good frame of mind. I was a big pot smoker for most of the 90s and early 2000s. In fact, I would operate better high. I was the kind of person that was very, very tense. And my mind would always go a million different ways all the time. And when I would run jobs, I would literally have to like smoke a bowl or smoke a joint to kind of clear my thoughts, like focus on this one thing. I was always high functioning, and I did it like kind of medicinally. I was always high functioning, and I stopped some years ago when after a couple of years after coming to Christ, I stopped because I ended up, and I credit it like to the Holy Spirit that gave me the peace and clarity of mind that I would get, smoke weed to have, but I remember in that time, in those years, I would go to my cousin's house or something, and he was a guy that would only get high and play like World of Warcraft all day long, every day, all day. He reminded me, if you guys remember that South Park episode with that big fat guy with the wife beater shirt, like with the Red Bull cans and stuff. That was my cousin, man. Like I would tell him, dude, why don't you disconnect the game and go out and experience life? Really, like you were investing so much on this avatar, this you're trying to level up, and this, why don't you invest that energy in your own life? So what Emmanuel's saying, I hear you. I feel the same way. Like I feel really bad for people that just want to be in a fog, in a cloud all the time and numb their emotions and numb these experiences and just get lost and have this kind of artificial life experience,
Yeah,
so
I don't condone cracking an 8-ball before you operate heavy machinery.
dude, smoking a joint is not cracking an 8-ball. That's totally different. But anyways, I agree. Anyways, that's my thought. That's my thought, because I agree with that, because there's too many people, and especially nowadays. And I think what has happened in this last year, that not enough people, I think too many people have resorted to just losing themselves or in drugs and alcohol because they lost their job, they're locked in, and they don't have enough of their own grit or strong will to adapt, and even with the circumstances continue to improve and grow. And I think that's the hindrance that the drug, you could say epidemic, or just the widespread drug uses has caused on society as a whole.
Well, guys, we were going to do Gonzo News, but I was going to do a short stream tonight. But I think we'll start wrapping it up. I think we'll go around the panel real quick. Again, everybody on the panel, if you want to stay for a quick after party, including Emmanuel, we kind of chat after and discuss a few things in private. I would like you to stay on, Emmanuel. But I think it's been a very interesting stream, starting out with sleep, dreams, and then we got into, I'm glad we had Michael Foster. I always love having Michael Foster on, giving his his point of view is always valuable. Of course, Frank Pesci. And did I miss anybody else that was on tonight? Oh, Paul Galvin. Yeah. And I also want to appreciate, let everybody in the chat know that I appreciate ECP, Vigo, Matt M, of course, Anthony Velasquez, the newest wrench. But everybody's appreciated here. Again, if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter at T21Surfer. That's T21Surfer. You can reach out to me there if you have any questions for me or just anything you want to say to me. Reach out to me on there. Private message me on Instagram or Twitter, T21Surfer. Again, everybody in the chat, I appreciate you spending your Saturday night with me. We will do Gonzo News next week. And I think it's been a very interesting evening. Somebody's got a little bit of disturbance. Oh, it was Marty. That's all right. That's all right. It's just a little scratching. But it's been a great topic tonight, starting with sleep and why we're not sleeping. A lot of different. I kind of shared some personal things with you guys tonight, and as far as my views on sleep, my views on dreams, why I'm having dreams, how I feel about people that, again, look at you as the bad guy. We talked about forgiveness. A lot of things went down on this show. So, but I think it was very valuable. Let's go to Gonzo. Any last words? And how can everybody find you too?
You can find me at thelurkingpress.com. That's my shop. That's where you can find all the art and that sort of thing. You can also find me at Gonzo School on YouTube. And gonzoschool.com is back. It's returned. We have a podcast. We're on Spotify. And all these different places are coming up. So, but yeah, those are the main places. You can check them out. And I think, I don't know. This has been a really interesting show. There was a lot of twists and turns in this conversation. And I just think, I think the big takeaway is that we got to find ways to relax, and I think, to escape that grind mentality, because I believe in hard work, right? And I'm guilty of working myself to death a lot of the time, but I think that's one of the reasons why people turn to drugs and people get caught into these things. And I think we just need to find peace, and it's just really an urgent thing. And so I do that through the silent prayer. I do that through, just being in the present, being in the moment, not thinking of the past or the future, just remaining present. And that way you can have clarity. You can have the clarity and make decisions and do the right thing. And so I think that's my 2 cents for the night.
All right. Well, that's why we do Get It Off Your Chest Saturday night. So you guys, instead of doing drugs, come on here and get it off your chest. So share the channel, share this video. Don't be afraid. Share it to somebody that might need this message tonight, guys. I think that's important. This isn't, I'm not just trying to pump up my audience, but I'm trying to reach people genuinely. And I think everybody that comes on this panel is doing the same thing. And that's the reason why I have these guys, because I think everybody on here is genuine and authentic and really wants to see improvement in men and women's lives. So let's go to Mr. Finn next. How can everybody find you? And some final thoughts.
Okay, yeah, so it's really easy. English with Mr. Finn, YouTube and Instagram, where I'm doing my best to make you all, anyone who jumps on, better communicators. And I'm going live on Wednesday nights now, so that'll be fun. Just bringing things to talk about that I find interesting. And as far as tonight's show, Tony, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate these shows that you bring on to allow anybody to come on and get it off their chest. And I love how we start off with a topic and we go around and we talk about it, and it's an organic conversation, and the things, the pearls of wisdom, these nuggets that come out of it, I think it's really beneficial for a lot of people, and we all have different takes on it. You know, what Gonzo said was really spot on as well. Rest is important, and we live in a time now where there's just constant stimuli everywhere, and we all have our phones. Like, you know, Marty said, he wakes up and he can't remember his dream. First thing he grabs is his phone, and that's I think most people. I'm not a person who sleeps a lot, but I do get, I think, quality sleep. I am aware that it's important to rest. You know, we need to rest our bodies, rest our minds, because if we are spread too thin, if we're doing too many things, how good are we going to be to the things we're applying ourselves to? And for those people who are watching or coming on in the future, and if you do have a substance abuse problem, if you do have, if you've got those hooks in you, you're going to try to see how you can get them out of you, and where outlets you can try to find to maybe find outlets or something somewhere else. And like Tony said, if there's ever anything you need to talk about, he's opened up to it. I'm opened up to it. I've have quite a bit of experience in this area. I'm no expert, but I've had friends that became homeless and like literally just drugged out, brain dead bums on the street. And it broke my heart. And I have also had friends where I've seen them have redemptive lives and they've gotten off of their vices. And so this was a great topic. You know, thank you again, Tony, for having me. And I just love being here with you guys. So
let me mention one thing too, guys. This is something I want to tell people. Let's say you're a man or a woman going through something right now. One of the best things you can do for yourself is what I found out when I've gone through hard times. When I've had somebody reach out to me with their tough times, it actually makes you feel better, because what you're doing is even though you're going through a tough time and you're helping somebody out, it's amazing what kind of mental therapy that does for you, because what it does, it brings back your self-worth that you might not have at that moment. So when you're helping other people, even if you're in a bad point in your life, it's something that's very therapeutic. So just remember that. And the reason I say that is, 3-4 years ago, I went through kind of a rough time. Wasn't a long time, but I've had a few people reach out to me with their problems. And what happens is I put my problems aside to help them. And what it does, it kind of gives you your life back and say, you know what? I'm helping somebody, so I'm worthy. Because a lot of people don't feel worthy anymore. And I get that. So by helping somebody else, if you're not feeling well yourself, by helping somebody else, it's a great way to turn things around for that person and for you all in one. So, but let's go to, I'm going to finish with Marty, but let's go to Emmanuel. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I have a long spiel prepared. About your thoughts, right? You know, this meditation on thoughts. People confuse their thoughts with their self. Right? Now, your thoughts are something that you observe. Right? There's something in your mind, a duality in your mind where your thoughts are something that you observe objectively. And you have the sovereign right and the power to reject thoughts that you don't like or agree with. We're all full of negative thoughts today. The world is full of sickness, and we're overflowing with negative thoughts. Some people, like I have sick and twisted thoughts sometimes, but I say, Jesus, where did that come from? I don't like that thought. You had a bad thought, right? So you have the sovereign right to reject thoughts and say, I don't agree with that. Thanks very much. I choose this nice thought, right? So meditation is about training your mind on the thoughts that are happening. Don't fight against the thoughts that are in you, right? You can't dictate to your thoughts what's going to come up next, right? But what you can do is just observe, and rather than react to them, you can respond. You can have a reasonable response and a well thought out response to them and say, no thanks, I don't like that negative thought. This idea of meditating to get rid of all your thoughts and become nothing and lose your ego, I don't think that's a good way to go. It can go extreme. My understanding of spirituality, right? Think of the word spiritual. It's a spear ritual, right? So you have the veil that separates you from God in the temple. If you have a spear in your hand and you perform this ritual of poking the veil, right? You make it more holy. It's a holy experience. You're putting holes in the veil with the spear. So it's a spiritual experience that becomes more holy as you do it, right? And to pray, think of a bird of prey, like an eagle. He's praying for his quarry. When you're praying to God, you're constantly asking questions and you're hoping to spy the answer, and you're praying on an answer. So you want to pray on an answer that you catch, and that's your reward. So that's how I understand these things. Yeah, so what else? What's the point of all that? I don't know. Just try and think differently sometimes, you know. Try and think outside the box. It might help you. And don't be afraid of everything we could say tonight. Don't be afraid to be open and honest today. You're made as a sovereign individual with a soul. Don't lose your salt and don't lose your soul. And when you find yourself and understand the spiritual, then you can get up on a hillside and shine your light. And don't be afraid to express yourself and speak the truth that's coming from your sovereign experience. Your story and your experience is adding flavor to everybody else's stew, you know, and it's giving them courage. Then it's giving them courage and permission to do the same. So be open and honest with yourself, and you know, have conversations like this. Go off on tangents from one topic to the next, and there is nuggets of wisdom, like Finn said. You know, you will pick up on stuff, and don't abuse the drugs. Try the soberness for once. That's all I have to say. So thanks for having me on. It's been fun for me.
I love it. I
yeah.
love it. Well, great ending. That is really good. I appreciate you, and I do appreciate everything you shared with us tonight. And let's go to Marty. How can everybody find you?
At Nutshots, Instagram, YouTube. Just very simple. You know, our body reacts to stresses, and dreams are a part of it. And you know, I don't have an answer for everyone on what to do to take care of it, but you know, just take care of yourself, be mindful of yourself, love yourself. That's the only advice I can give that I know for sure that works. That's how we're gonna end the stream, everyone. Just love yourself first and be kind to others.
Oh, that's great, Marty. You really do. That's good. That's solid advice, man. I love it. I do. Great. And that's why everybody is here tonight, because I respect all of you. Also, everybody in the chat, appreciate you spending time with us on a Saturday night. Much love, honor, and respect to everybody. And everybody hang tight for a quick after party. Cheers, people. Appreciate all of you.